Circle driving. Oh, here we go.
Martin. Oh, wow. That's ugly. That's really ugly. That could hurt Alex Marquez. I mean, if he was sick in his helmet, and he was yesterday, which caused this crash, then he will be.
Aleix, when it's literally over that patch. We've talked about it all weekend.
Lights come out, and away we go. It's a good start from Conqueror. A good start from Alex Rins also up towards turn one. Is he going to be able to let the brake off on the inside? Of course he does. But Bagnaia swings back round on contact between Marco Rizzecchi in the middle of the pack. The championship leader made contact with someone on his outside. That looks like a Yamaha to me and a KTM.
Yeah, aggressive Fabio there when he had to be. I'd have thought Rins would have been a bit more aggressive. Oh, we've got a crash.
That's Dr. Antonio, I think, on the Grassini bike. Look how far that's going with one of the Aprilis. Was it both the Grassini bikes?
I don't know. It might have been Fogger.
Well, we'll find out very soon who that was. Through Alex Marquez it was who's gone down. And it was Jorge Martin who went with him. It was one of the combat bikes, Jorge Martin and Alex Marquez who crashed out. So that's one of the podium members yesterday, and another one who he fancied perhaps for the podium today. And here comes Rins. First lap, turn 11. Rins. Oh, that one got a little bit tight in there, but Bagnaia bravely hangs on to the lead.
They're the ones where you saw when we say let the brake off. What does that mean? It means at that point when you turn braking, to let the brake off, to force Bagnaia to sit up, disturb him, because by doing that, look now already you've given him all that. What is it now? About 5 bike lengths lead.
Quartararo comes through on Luca Marini. Brilliant start from the Frenchman. Even better for Jack Miller in front of him. Oh, that's Maverick Vinales. Is it? Oh, is it Aleix? It's Aleix who's gone down. So he battled the podium yesterday, and it's Aleix Espargaro who's crashed out. What a dramatic start to this race already. He crashes out at turn 12. So it's Bagnaia from wins, and Jack Miller from 10th on the grid is up into 3rd place. Quartararo 4th, Marini in 5th, Bezzecchi now in 6th.
Not that it's going to be a surprise, but I was keeping my eye on Jack. He was so aggressive, and he had to be, and he didn't get a good start in the sprint race, and it was a long race for him. Speaking to him this morning, he said, I've got to get the jump off the line, and he did.
And I'll remind you, he was on the podium here last year behind Alex Rins. He was 3rd, Rins was 2nd, Bastianini was the race winner. There are no spots already today, but it's Pecco Bagnaia who leads the way, and already he's starting to open up half a second the gap to Alex Rins behind. Is there anything from this position they can do other than hope that Pecco makes a mistake?
All Rins had to do into turn 11 was let the brake off. He'd have gone wide, they'd have both gone wide, but you wouldn't have this scenario.
This is what happened.
Alex Marquez in there in purple watching. That's what happened. Right, Circle driving. Oh, here we go.
Martin. Oh. That's ugly. That's really ugly. That could hurt Alex Marquez. I mean, if he was sick in his helmet, and he was yesterday, which caused this crash, then he will be.
Aleix, when it's literally over that patch. We've talked about it all weekend. There's a patch here. He tries to come back through the top of the patch.
Right over it.
You cannot believe how poor the surface is there. Rins is digging it.
And he is. And he's starting to fight back a little bit on this first part of the racetrack, but it's almost like from here, Bagnaia gets into his own in the more tricky section. Alex Martin, you're not surprised, are you? He was really hit hard by Martin's bike, and it was a heavy one that took him to the outside of the racetrack.
In the background there, Brad Binder, that thing, it was hopping and skipping, literally from the moment he grabbed the brakes. How he managed to stay on the motorcycle there, that was unbelievable. Binder, 9th.
On the hard front, soft rear. Yesterday, the riders were saying it took a little bit of time to come in, so I wonder if for Alex Rins, he's been waiting for that front hard tyre to activate, because yesterday they said it maybe took a lap and a half. It wasn't until the 2nd lap when you started to get the right feeling that you needed, and it still is a long race, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't talk to Brad Binder. He said, honestly, he thought there was a problem on lap 1 of the sprint race. He had no grip at all.
Rins is coming back to him. I will say that. Rins is coming back. We know Bagnaia likes to manage things. He hits the front and then he doses out the pace. So he ensures that he has something at the end of the race. And Alex Rins, just closed by about 1/10 of a second on Bagnaia on that previous lap. Fabio Quartararo here is interesting in 4th place, Neil, because whereas yesterday he was up to 4th, he was around a group of riders, wasn't he? This time it looks like a little bit of fairly clear track for him. His pace was almost as good as Bagnaia's yesterday.
Yeah, he had the pace for 2nd place, even when riding a crash bike, his lap time was really impressive. So what he's got now, the fact that there's a gap in front of him to Jack, that's okay. He can run his own lines. What he has to do is when he catches Jack, you have to pass him straight away. Otherwise, you end up in that situation where you get stuck behind. He can't use his flowing lines. Jack will use the power of that V4 KTM, and it'll be difficult to pass. He lost a lot of time by
now. Alex Rins, have you got anything for him here? Why, Neil? Whoa! Both of them wobbling down to 11. Why is the Honda working here?
It's like being on, let's say, it's like being on a damp track. This track is so weird, right? It's a leveler. When you go to a track like, let's say, somewhere like Barcelona, or a track everyone knows really well, Valencia, you'll see that Ducati's the best bike on the grid. It turns, it's the fastest, it stops well. But when you come to a quirky track, the rider can make the difference. Rins loves this place. He's won in Moto3, Moto2, and in MotoGP. He was second last year in MotoGP.
On the Suzuki.
And a lot of it is your attitude. He's come here. I did a track guide with him on Thursday. Super excited. Confident that he could fight for a podium. Bear in mind, he's not really been getting on with the Honda. I'm thinking if he could get a top 5, it'd be a good result. But look at him go. The rider is making the difference. That's what Marquez always did round here. It's not that the Honda is suited to this track, because the other Honda's aware.
Well, Vanguard is down in 14th, Mir in 12th.
Yeah.
And Bradle in 17th, of course, standing in for Marc Marquez, who hopes to be back for the Grand Prix of Spain. Had a stay of execution on his penalty for now, until the appeals are heard. Fastest rider on the circuit, Will Hodgson. Jack Miller on the KTM. They had a stinking race here last year. Let's not forget Miguel Oliveira couldn't get anywhere near the rest of the field. Brad Binder, I think, was down in about 12th position. Yet they said, we know what it is, and Jack Miller really fancied his chances in this race with what his feelings of the bike were, how well it stops in the hard braking zone.
And he loves this track, and he's the sort of rider with that positive mental attitude. He's a motocrosser anyway, a very good one at that, actually. So you come round here and you have to ride it a little bit like a motocross bike. Rins is all over him.
What are the strengths then of the Honda for him to be able to get past Bagnaia?
Well, it is.
I thought you were about to say no.
No, it is good at stopping into these really tight corners like we're coming into now, down to turn 11. And what he does, Rins, a lot of the time, he just brakes, he trail brakes more than Bagnaia. And what I mean by trail braking is, he'll brake deeper into the corner, and you'll see him sometimes turn the bike in much earlier than Bagnaia. Look, it's not good for your exit, but it's a good way of gaining time, and obviously making a pass.
Well, that's the only thing I felt yesterday, was he was carrying a little bit more corner speed in 11 and here in turn 12. Just watch him as we come to the apex. It always felt like yesterday, Rins would close at a rate of knots towards the apex of the corner, and then Bagnaia punching out. Well, he was feeling ill all weekend, Jorge Martin. Bravely got that third place yesterday, but today, unfortunately, he was very wide, wasn't he, in the previous corner, and as he regained the line, obviously, that's where he lost the ball.
And on a first lap crash like that in turn 3, well, you know, we talked about the weather. It is freezing. The wind is so cold down there. Look at the pictures. It looks like it's a beautiful day. The temperature's okay, but that wind's gone. So if he didn't attack on his warm-up lap, if he didn't push on his warm-up lap, you lose a bit of temperature in the front tyre. How many times has Sylvain Guintoli told us about these tyres?
Activation.
And you've got to activate them, and if you don't quite get the right temperature, they don't work. And that crash from Martin, it was like he'd gone over oil, wasn't it? He was, face planted it.
The pace is picking up every single lap here, Neil. I'm a little bit surprised about how fast they're going now. Down into the low 203s from Alex Rins. Yesterday's fastest lap of the sprint race on the same tyres, a 203.082 from Pecco Bagnaia. Well, Rins has just done a 203.1. And, we're talking about people having to dose out the longevity of these tyres.
So they've got their electronic strategy right, so they don't burn those tyres out. They'll have, different mats that they can switch to throughout the race to take away a little bit of power, to add a little bit of more traction, so the tyre doesn't, once you've lost, let's say, the best part of the tyre, the grippiest part of the rubber, once that's worn away, you change the mats to give you a bit less engine braking, to take away a little bit of the power, to make it more manageable.
Rins has always had a little bit of tyre towards the end of the race. We didn't know how much is that him, how much is that Suzuki, but I'll remind you of when he beat Valentino Rossi here, had a little bit of something extra towards the end of the race, had a little bit of something, if you remember, last year when he won at Valencia. Something about Alex Rins, is it him or is it the bike? We'll find out in this race, 15 and a half to go.
It's him. He is making the difference.
Jack Miller's closing in as well, isn't he? And Jack won't be shy. He won't be backward and coming forwards. On the KTM, again, over the years, Jack hasn't been one of those actually to keep tyres in check, but the KTM has. If you see Brad Binder, how well he comes forward as a race goes on. So let's see if Jack can manage something back there in third spot.
He's full of surprises, Jack. I mean, he finished 9th yesterday. He was 12 seconds down after just 10 laps.
But he had a tough start to the race,
Yes,
didn't he? Not so tough for Bagnaia. I thought Prins was going to be able to level him. He looked like he was up towards the first corner, but Bagnaia was brave, wasn't he? The way he swooped back in front, but again he was back. Watch Rins will go for a tighter line into turn one. Look at the different part of the racetrack they're occupying there. And then Bagnaia has the kind of, I'm not saying he makes more of a U out of the corner, but
he does.
You know, to put it into, you know, more dramatic context.
Absolutely makes more of a U as opposed to Rins making a sharper V out of it. Do you know, we saw in the sprint race, a few people said to me after it, friends of going, oh, it was a bit of a boring race, it got stretched out. The problem is, when you've got someone like Bagnaia at the front who is so fast, and Gav, you just mentioned the lap times are incredible. What happens then is everyone's just on their limit and pretty much circulating at similar speeds, and that's why it's sort of created a, let's say, a bit of a boring race. And unfortunately, the same thing's happened now. Bagnaia's got out at the front. I mean, Rins is doing all he can. I mean, Quartararo's 4th, he just set his fastest lap of the race, and that's only 0.2 of a second off the fastest ever lap around here. So
Miller set his also. He was a 10th quicker than Bagnaia, 2 tenths quicker than Rins on that previous lap. Here's the start again.
Watch it, it jumps. Give it.
We had this yesterday.
Give it. So sorry, it was that was terrible.
That was what he did yesterday.
It was like it wasn't in gear.
And what was it he said yesterday? Yeah, we've got a problem with the starts. We do have problems. We need to fix it.
It's very Maverick overthinking the situation, which we've seen a lot throughout his career.
Hey up, here comes Alex Rins, right on the rear tyre of Paco Bagnaia. This is the battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen, through this fast sequence of right-handers, through 16, 17 and 18. There is Vinales, he's recovered to 8th place.
Let's give it a race.
He thought about setting to turn 9. Bagnaia, although he's there, is Rins just trying to do the Valentino Rossi classic of stalk them and let them know you're there and hope that the pressure tells, because it has in the past on Bagnaia.
Absolutely. Why not?
Remember when he was on pole in tractor ring last year?
Yeah.
Similar kind of situation.
He's losing so much on acceleration, so he has to make it up all on the brakes. He'll want to get in front of him. If he can get in front of him, it'll just make his life so much easier. Look how much he lost us on an acceleration up there. He's a funny character. Obviously, we've been in the paddock for 10 years. He's someone we don't know that well because he keeps himself to himself. I did my track guide with him on Thursday. We walked around the track and I said, you do know you're the only rider I've never done this with before. And he went, really? And I said, yeah, every time we asked you said no. And he said, oh, I never said no. And he was blaming the PR people at Suzuki, which I'm going to say,
it's in one of the fast parts of the circuit. Poor Miller. Oh dear me. So Miller has crashed out of the way, maybe at turn 7 or something. Can't quite see where it was, but running in 3rd place, just didn't have the pace to match. I mean,
as he clipped a
fast lap. We have seen that.
Get ready for this. I couldn't quite tell if he clipped the curb or not there. I probably don't think he did, but so many crashes this weekend through those flip-flops.
So that's Miller out of 3rd place, Neil, and that promotes Fabio Quartararo up into 3rd position, into the podium spot for the first time this year. Bearing in mind he's had a best of 7th in Argentina when he had to recover all those positions after the collision with Taka Nakagami early on. And Luca Marini is the rider he's got for company. And Marini, of course, at 3rd place in the sprint race in Argentina, but searching for that podium finish. Of course, never had a podium in MotoGP.
No, Fabio did a lot of talking to the press yesterday afternoon after the race, after the crash, complaining about his motorcycle. He said when he jumped on the motorcycle in 2017 for the first time, up until now, the bike's pretty much the same. you compare it to a Ducati, he said, which he described as it looks like a spaceship compared to our motorcycle.
And he also talks a lot as we just look further down the order at Miguel Oliveira, who's having a good old battle. Oh, that's the leader! Now! Pecco Bagnaia has gone down! We said it might happen! We said this track will bite back, and it's booked him off his bike today. Pecco Bagnaia was leading the championship, was leading the race, and Bagnaia has done what he did at Germany last year. He's done what he did in Le Mans last year. He's crashed out from pole position again. He crashed out last week in Termas, and he's still got big points here.
And it goes really early into turn 2. That's so fast. Look at the speed of the bike. I mean, it's another unforced error. We're on lap 7. By the time you're at lap 7, you understand the limit, you understand the fuel's going down, you can feel your tyres. You're not at the point where the tyres are gone. Unreal.
How much of that is down to the pressure from Rins from behind?
I think you're exactly right, Gav. He knew, and he was pushing. The lap times Bagnaia was doing were really, really fast. And he knew that was his limit, but he decided to try and start in 3rd gear. I mean, it was awful, wasn't it?
Is it snowy out there or something? Right, there is Quartararo in 3rd. I think that's him gone now. 1.8, the gap between himself and Luca Marini. 2.3 between the Italian and the Spaniard out front. There you can see the whole team. Dakota Mamola in the middle, who's team coordinator down there. Oh, when Alex Rins rounds the next corner, just 2 laps remaining in the Grand Prix of the Americas, and he could be about to become the 2-time winner. Remember, he beat Valentino Rossi to victory last time he came here. Could be a case of deja vu almost, with his brother Luca Marini crossing in 2nd behind him. Quartararo throwing some shapes on the Yamaha. That one's not the way around the corner. I think that's one of his 3 track limits exceeded there by Quartararo. And he will now have to settle for 3rd place unless Vinales can conjure up something.
I tell you, I wish we did have a heart rate monitor on this man though. He'll be blowing because there's one thing. That bike looks hard to ride. He's making his time up on the brakes. Yes, he's carrying corner speed. It's funny, the other Honda riders were commenting on his data, saying that he has found this in-between, sort of, let's say, inline 4 and V4 riding style. So on all the faster flowing corners, he's got miles more corner speed than Mir and Nakagami. But then he uses the strength, let's say, of the Honda in all these little V corners, trail brakes in really hard, gets it stopped and fires it out.
The thing for me is the elbow position. He's changed his style.
He has, which is hard to do when you're, I'm not saying he's a veteran, but how old's Rins now? Is he like 28?
He's 27.
27. Wow, it feels like it feels like he should be 37.
He started with 15 when we first saw him.
Exactly.
15 years of age.
I tell you what though, it's never been slow, has it?
No.
As in, you know, all through his career. See, Moto3, almost winning the championship, didn't he, in Moto3?
Yeah, he was on to the last day of the season. Remember when Maverick Vinales ran out victorious?
Actually, it was into the last corner.
Yeah, he was leading.
He led it into the last corner to be world champion.
It was a dive bomb, and he did the right thing.
Here he is. This is the sort of team manager, team owner, Lucio Cecchinello. Honestly, the nicest guy in the
I'm so polite saying, I don't suppose you mind.
Can I just lean forward
so I can see my rider across the line for the penultimate time?
There will be tears.
Oh, there'll be tears in here in a minute, because this has been right on the edge, hasn't it, the whole race? After what happened to Bagnaia, every corner you're panicking for the riders, because you know. Look,
that's what I like to see.
The classic. Calm now, Alex. You don't want to roll off too much. Braddle's gone. Stefan Braddle's gone, so Brad Binder picking the bike back up and going out there. He will score 3 points here. And Ricardo Pirro wins the battle of the test riders. Jonas Folger will be picking up points.
Nice and easy now. Basically a 3-second lead. 3/4 of a lap to go. This is experienced enough, his Rins. Just hit your markers. Just keep it smooth. And I tell you what, he is going to be the happiest man in America. Nobody saw this coming. Yes, we knew he was good around this track, winning in all classes, but I mean, his results before this in the main races was a 10th and a 9th. You know, it's incredible what he's done.
Right, he comes on to the back straight now. Lucio Cecchinello, top left, cannot watch. He can't even watch Alex Rins as he comes down the back straight for the final time. just 8 more corners to negotiate for Rins. This is the one that is going to be the trickiest. Cheers from the crowd as he drops it in. He's been a previous Grand Prix winner here. Let's not forget his victory when Marc Marquez also crashed out of the lead in this race. One of the problems with the bike back in 2019, and he had a hand-to-hand combat scrap with Valentino Rossi. He eases the bike up towards turn 15, a little bump there.
He's pushing too hard for Marc. No, he's all right now. He's enjoying it.
He knows. And the elbow goes right out.
Weirdest riding style. We've never seen anything like it, because it's like, you know, the lead like more forward, but he just sticks it out.
2 more corners to negotiate then. What a ride this is from Alex Rins. It's going to be his 6th victory in MotoGP. The first in his new chapter as a Honda rider. A satellite Honda wins again for the first time since Cal Crutchlow did it in Argentina. Fireworks from Alex Rins as he takes victory in the